Greetings, folks. Improper here, bringing you yet another in my series. And folks, concealed carry and high-level retention are not necessarily two concepts that go hand in hand for the average person when they're out looking for a holster. Still, some of us want a holster that's offering a great level of retention, but we don't want to break the bank. And we also want it to be somewhat concealable. And again, those are all hard to put together and come up with a low-cost solution. That is, of course, folks, until you get to the BlackHawk CQC holster. Folks, the BlackHawk CQC holster was obviously designed around its retention method, which is this push button right here. This is very easy, the concept of pushing a button and drawing your firearm out, and that's what you have to do. So let me go ahead and get my Glock 19 here. The Glock 19, my carry of choice. But I like this holster because when you put your firearm into the holster, this gives you a nice affirmative audible click. Bam. That thing is in place, and you're not getting that gun out. You're not getting that gun out until you push this button. This is a very deceivingly excellent design. This all looks very simple, this concept of pushing a button to get your firearm out of the holster. However, you see this groove right here? That's there deliberately because this is designed for the Glock 19 and Glock 23. And it's there deliberately because when you draw your firearm, you keep your finger right there and it deposits your finger right where it should be in a perfectly indexed draw outside your trigger guard. But it's going to deposit your finger professionally right where it ought to be and not inside the trigger guard where you can accidentally shoot yourself in the kielbasa. That is a sad face situation. And you practice with a holster like this, you know, so that your finger is outside the trigger guard each time. So, muscle memory. This is a muscle memory holster, which also makes them controversial because there's a lot of people that would advise against getting a holster like this for people who don't get a lot of practice with their firearm. For people that don't shoot a lot with your firearms, they advise get a different holster with a good retention, but without something like a push button. I personally favor it because it is a great level of retention and you don't have a whole lot to do to get your firearm out of the holster. There's other holsters that are much more advanced and much more expensive that have a flip-up lever, a thumb brake button, and all sorts of other things in order to get your firearm free. But this is good because it deposits your finger in that index draw again. So this holster actually, through muscle memory, helps you get into a very good habit of keeping your finger out of the trigger guard on your draw. So I personally favor this method. Now this holster is made very nice. It's a very good tight polymer. It's very strong. You're not going to break this, not through normal use. You know, I'm sure if somebody is hanging off your gun and they're dangling off a cliff, one of these might break. But other than that, not through normal use, you're not going to break this thing. As you can see, there are 3 screws right here, and you can adjust the cant of this holster. Many different combinations, as a matter of fact. So you can adjust it one way with the other way, straight up and down, however it is you want. Now it is concealable, and with the paddle thing or the belt loops thing, I don't notice any more concealability with one or the other. Maybe just the way they feel when you're wearing it, because the paddle is going inside your pants. But it's not the same kind of concealability, and it's not as close to your body as, say, let's use the Glock 19 in this standard Kydex holster, and we'll put the Springfield in its holster, and you'll see that the Glock 19 is actually, when you're looking at the belt loops, a lot closer to your body through this type of holster right here. So this brings it in closer to your body with this type of holster, but you don't have the same kind of retention. This holds the Glock 19. It retains it pretty well because just the form fitting of the trigger guard right here is what holds the gun in place. So I would say that yes, this holster right here is concealable, but it's concealable if you're wearing an overshirt or an overcoat where you can put it over the gun and nobody's going to see it. it's concealable that way. This would be either an open carry holster or a overcoat or big shirt conceal and carry holster. Again, you're going to find this holster for anywhere between $23 to $55, maybe $60, depending if it's one of the special colored ones, one of the carbon fiber colored ones, or who's selling it. For the level of retention and the peace of mind it offers you, and the instant trainer of having the groove here for depositing your finger right where it ought to be for a properly indexed draw, I would think that this holster would be very worth it to a lot of people. But again, you want to practice with this holster, and you want pushing this button and indexing your draw to be the muscle memory that you learn and train to learn when using this holster. Otherwise, if you end up in a hairy situation where you're trying to fight your way out of something, you may not think to push a button, and you may not think to even index your draw or anything like that. So you'll be yanking on your firearm trying to get it out of this thing, and it may not go well for you. So practice, practice, practice. And there's other companies such as the Jonic TP9 series, that has a push button holster that they give you. Or here's one for the 6 Hour SP 2022 that I went and got because it had a push button. But you'll notice the difference between this one and say this one is that the push button here doesn't deposit your finger necessarily anywhere, and you don't really slide. You just push the button and you pull the gun out, whereas this one you slide and it deposits your finger right where it needs to be. This is good, this worked all right, but it's just another example of somebody who makes a push button type holster. And then there's other holsters of this type of design, such as the Fobus holsters here. The Fobus holsters aren't bad holsters, and they do employ some retention with the trigger guard tightness with this screw right here, and it holds the gun in place. But there's no push button method, just you indexing your draw on your own. So, and folks, really, I guess what the lesson here is that whatever holster you're using, index your draw. That's the proper way to do it. But folks, that's it. This is the BlackHawk Serpa CQC holster. This is a concealable option if you're wearing an overshirt or a coat, but it's a good, inexpensive, high-level retention method for holding your firearm in place. And if you train with this, this is an excellent holster. So folks, that's it. I'm too improper. My email address is scrolling across the bottom of the screen as we speak right now. That's tooimproper@gmail.com. Right? And I will answer you provided you're not being a tool about what it is you're saying, and if I've got the time. Always be polite. Thanks for watching, folks. God bless America, and keep on protecting your families and yourselves. If you love them, you're going to do it, and it's always the right thing to do.